Nice. So we've just been chatting for a few minutes about a few things we want to touch on. Once again, the things we touch on are from our direct experiences, so things that we're either doing or learning about in this week or previous weeks, because advertising's changing so fast and so rapidly, and you can't just go back to old school techniques and blogs and other people's videos. You've just got to really just do the work yourself, get the insights, get the results, come up with your own strategies and frameworks. And that's what we're here to share with you guys. So
Yes.
remember, like, comment, subscribe, because we've been doing this for a long time and we want more followers.
Yeah.
So guys, please do it. And any business watching it, reach out to us. We do like new clients as well. So Corey, today we're going to start off with a bit of a rant, and then we're going to go into a bit of a hot tip with it, because I was just reflecting this week, and yesterday I was just going through a few client accounts. Now, the rant is this. People will go to like these checklists of how to optimize a Google Ads account, like the 100 things you need to do to optimize a Google Ads account. And then you could be doing them all, and then you get no results. You hear about people looking for checklists, wanting checklists, but they're not needing a checklist. What they're needing is to do a gap analysis. And the gap analysis is basically this: looking for ways to identify where the gap is in the account. Now, there are certain things along the journey of advertising, from the first impression to the purchase or the first lead. And there are different metrics along the journey that there are so many, by the way, but there are some that are so crucial just on the very high level that you could apply to nearly every business. So the reason why this is a bit of a rant, but also a hot tip, is because I look at a lot of accounts, I order a lot of accounts, and it's just so clear that they're not focusing on the gap because they haven't on a high level identified the gap. They're doing all the right things, but they're not doing the right things in the right area. So I've broken this down in my mental model just on a really high level, like the whole 80-20, you could apply it to all accounts. And I'm just going to read my list. So for Google Ads, number one, it's traffic quality, like looking at your search terms. Now, you need to make sure that your search terms are relevant, because, let me just move it over here, because if you're not getting the right quality of traffic, no matter how much quantity of traffic or your conversion rate or your quality scores, it's never going to work. It's the old GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So the first thing people need to be analyzing in their accounts, and this is so wild because I've done consulting for like other agencies that have huge enterprise businesses, and they're doing all like, oh, what do you reckon we should be doing on our bidding strategy or increase our conversion rate? And I'm like, you are getting the worst quality traffic. And these are the things for like $50 cost per clicks, like banking, enterprise softwares, and all of these things. So the gap analysis number stage one is this, the hot tip and also the rant, is traffic quality. You've got to look at your traffic quality first. Number two, traffic quantity. Are you even getting enough traffic through? Because the results you get in your business or on your account is going to be based on the statistical significance of how much traffic you get. If you're only getting 2, 3, 5, 10 clicks a day, that's going to be nothing compared to an account that gets 50 to 100, because the time factor is so crucial, and the data quality and quantity is so important to ensure that you can identify if it's working based on you're just getting enough traffic. The next thing is just CTRs. Now, whilst CTRs in Google, I'm still on the fence about. I know it's important, but I'm not like dying.
There's a place for it.
Yeah, I'm not like dying on a cross being like, oh, the CTRs are low, like let's just focus all of our efforts in here. When the CTR is high, it is a good indication that that part's being done well. When it's done low, or when it's low, I'm not like crying over it. There may be so many factors towards CTR.
You could.
The next.
I'm going to butt in a little bit.
Nice. This is not the market.
We got to sprinkle in some Corey here.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, just to go back 1 second. So on the relevant traffic, for all my data nerds out there, you can also do this programmatically. So you can work with things like Hugging Face. It is a language library that can use natural language processing to identify, and you can build your own pre-trained models to identify whether something is relevant or not. So some of you guys might be like, well, how do I know if it's relevant or not relevant? There's going to be some gray area. Well, you could train your own models. You can build out these really long lists of commercial intent words that say, model. These are things that if they're in there, I want you to score it higher in terms of relevancy. And then over time, it's going to get better and better at identifying what's relevant, what's not, rather than you thinking of it as being binary, like this is relevant and this is not. There are ways to kind of programmatically get these things into your data analysis. Anyway, just want to throw that in there. Quick tip for you guys.
Nice. Good one, Corey. And you can also just review your search term reports and just use the common sense. You should understand the clients, or if you're internal in a business, you should understand what is a commercial term or a high intent term. And if you don't, you probably shouldn't be running the account. That's all right.
Yeah.
You should have an intuition toward what's good. Very rarely, what is that, Corey? I saw that.
No, I was just going to say, no, go ahead. Very rarely. Go ahead.
Very rarely am I surprised by seeing search terms coming through that convert and get sales. I'm like, wow, I'm so surprised of that.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
I was just going to add that, I have this sometimes when I work with an agency and it's our first time working together and they're not very data heavy, let's say data driven or whatever. They just sort of go off of things intuitively. We run into this issue where they're like, hey, you said that we should look at n-grams. Can you do all that for us? And at the end of the day, someone needs to be the domain expert of that industry or of that business. So if it's like IT security, there's a lot of really niche terms, and most people, 99% of people, look at the search term report and they don't know if it's relevant or not.
Yeah.
You need somebody, whether that's a stakeholder in the business, whether it's directly the client that you usually report to or whatever, they need to help you with this. They cannot expect you to magically figure out what all of these words are. You do want to work with them. I found a lot of agencies kind of shy away from that. They're like, well, it's my job to figure out the relevancy. Not necessarily. You've got a lot of other clients. It doesn't mean you can't work with a client or someone inside the business that can say, I know this is a lot of jargon. Let me explain what these things are to you so that you can evaluate what's relevant or not. And don't expect people that you work with are just going to be able to pick up on these things right away. Most people doing this are not, Mensa IQs. They're not just going to, learn right away what the definition of all these jargony words are. They're working with a lot of other data. It's best to do this discovery with the clients and figure out what is relevant, what's not, and then you can improve upon that over time.
Nice. That's Corey. Good add-on, mate. So let's continue on. The next one is just some of these numbers, like the gap analysis is looking at the cost per click. Because if you know what your cost per lead is, or what the approximate cost per lead should be, and then you reverse engineer with the conversion rate, the cost per click is going to be the determining factor between, is it going to be higher or lower? And you need to understand, are you getting a good cost per click? Is your cost per click too high for the budget? Or, what's the other one in my little list? Or if the cost per click is too high for the economics for the cost per lead. And we're just talking about lead generation here. Yeah. It can apply to
cost per sale too.
Yeah. Cost per sale, that's right. So identifying, let's go through this list again. Traffic quality, like making sure it's good. Traffic quantity, are you getting enough? Number 3, like CTR, is your ads kind of like, are they being engaged? Number 4, CPC, like is it too high? Is it too low based on the economics? And then number 5 is this conversion rate. Is it too high? Is it too low? Not too high. It's never too high. But is it too low in your numbers? And is it not meeting benchmarks? So there are different benchmarks that I aim for, and just things like for a website. This is for lead generation, then we can talk about e-commerce. Website, a good conversion rate would be 3% plus. Landing page, 5% plus. Good, not amazing. But then when it comes to e-commerce, I'd be ranging from, it could be around 2 to 4% for a website conversion rate. Now, when you have all these metrics down, when you're reviewing it, you're on a spreadsheet or however you want to do it, by doing this exercise, you'll start to go, okay, traffic quality is good, quantity is good as well. CTR, it's average, cost per click, it's good, conversion rate is off, like it's just horrible. So rather than spending all this time trying to do all these admin like changes in the account, you realize, okay, it's a conversion rate issue. It's more likely to be on the website, either with the website setup, the checkout process, the call to actions, the headline. So instead of spending hours trying to like fix something in your account that's not broken and using checklists, you can actually identify that it may be the website, or the conversion rate on the website's great, and then you're just looking at your traffic quality and it's like, it's actually quite horrible and you're not getting enough traffic. And then by just fixing that. So rather than going through your checklists and going, okay, optimize, you've got to do the gap analysis. Where is the gap along the journey? Where is it not hitting industry benchmarks and internal benchmarks? And you should know industry benchmarks and internal benchmarks. And by using that as your gauge, you'll start to realize along that journey where the gap is for you. We do
Yep.
this with every single client. The reason why we've been able to get extraordinary results, like literally getting clients to make millions of dollars, like millions and millions and millions across Google Ads and Meta Ads, is because I consistently just go back to this, because I don't want to be spending all my brain, RAM, and energy just going, oh, the results are average. Let's just scatter our energy around and see what pops up. I want to go, okay, where's the gap? Cool, it's this thing. We dive in there, sniper it out, fix it, come back, give it 14 to 21 days, come back, and then review it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.